He said, and know that ال-لبث في الدنيا, your time of remaining in the dunya is short. وَالْحَبْسِ فِي الْقَبُورِ طَوِيلٌ, and you being imprisoned in the grave, it will be long. Your imprisonment in the grave will be lengthy. وَالْعَذَابُ عَلَى مُوَافَقَةِ الْهَوَى وَبِيلٌ, and indeed the punishment for following your desires will be detrimental. He said, فَأَيْنَ لَذَّةَ الْأَمْسِ رَحَلَتْ وَأَبْقَتْ نَدَمًا. So where is the pleasure that you received yesterday? It has gone. And nothing remains now except nadam, except regret. And so he mentions here and reminds his son of the realities of our life, and that is that we're traveling rapidly towards the day that we will be in the grave. And following desires, whether that is the desires of shubuhat or the desires of shahawat, the desires of doubt or the desires of the shahawat, of the desires and following the pleasures of the flesh, know that the adhab and the punishment for following that, ikhwan, is detrimental. And it leads to nothing but nadam, nothing but regret. And so then the Imam, he advises with that which will help him fight against his desires because of the fact that they are detrimental. He said, وَمَا سَعَدَ مَنْ سَعَدْ إِلَّا بِخِلَافِ هَوَى وَلَا شَقِيَ مَنْ شَقِي إِلَّا بِإِيثَارِ دُنْيَا فَاعْتَبِرْ بِمَنْ مَضَى مِنَ الْمُلُوكِ وَالزُّهَّادِ أَيْنَ لَذَّةَ هَؤُلَاءِ وَأَيْنَ تَعْبُ أُولَئِكَ. He said, no one is successful from those who are successful except by opposing their desires. And no one is wretched from those who are wretched except by giving preference to the dunya. Those who are wretched in the hereafter and have an evil outcome, they have that evil outcome because they gave preference to the dunya. They knew better, but they preferred the dunya. Couldn't be bothered. Can't be asked. And so when they gave that preference to the dunya, they had the wretched outcome that they had. And as the Messenger of Allah, he said, فَمَنْ وَجَدَ خَيْرًا, whoever finds good in the hereafter, فَلْيَحْمَدِ اللَّهِ, then let him praise Allah. وَمَنْ وَجَدَ غَيْرَ ذَلِكَ, and whosoever finds other than that, فَلَا يَلُومَنَّ إِلَّا نَفْسَهُ, and then let him not blame anybody but himself. And so, ikhwan, we see that the Risala, though it is an advice to his son, it is an advice to every believer, actually. He goes on to mention, so where is the pleasure? Also, he said, reflect and think about the outcome of the kings and the outcome of those who practice abstention from the dunya. Two individuals who are diametrically opposed. Kings and muluk, living a life of opulence, and then zuhad, those who abstain from the dunya and worshipped Allah Azza wa Jal. He said, where is the ladha? Where is the bliss that these experienced? And where is the difficulty that these went through, the other group? He said, بَقِيَ الثَّوَابُ الْجَزِيلُ وَالذِّكْرُ الْجَمِيلُ وَالْقَالَ الْقَبِيحَ وَالْعِقَابَ الْوَبِيلُ لِلْعَاصِينَ. He said, nothing now remains other than reward, a great reward, and a goodly mention, for the zuhad and those who abstain from the dunya, and an evil mention, and punishment for those who preferred the life of the dunya. And so then he mentions, وَالْكَسْلِ عَنِ الْفَضَائِلِ بِئْسَ الرَّفِيقِ وَهُبِّ الرَّاحَةِ يورث من الندم ما يربو عن كل لذة فانتبه واتعب لنفسك. He said that laziness, now we have another theme. laziness, being lazy and staying away from noble actions is an evil companion. And having love, and listen, ikhwan, 𝗓𝗶𝘃𝗲𝗏, loving rest, inherits nothing but regret. 𝗦𝗵𝘆𝘆𝗶𝘆 عن كل لذة فانتبه واتعب لنفسك. And he mentions here, loving rest then, it brings about the type of regret that overpowers and outweighs any pleasure that a person has. And so regardless of how much pleasure you receive from that sin that you commit, regardless of how much you enjoy it, yahi, regardless of how much joy it brings to your heart, ya ukht, know that the regret that comes from it eventually overpowers and outweighs any joy that you may have received from the action. The overall regret overpowers and outweighs any joy that you received from that ladha and from that joy, or from the joy that you took when you partook in that sin. And so he mentions here, ikhwan, beautiful pieces of advice. فانتبه, so pay attention and strive against yourself. Pay attention